If you like this show, but you're always on the go, look it up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. It's a podcast, man. Come on. Press Start Turbo is also available on podcasting apps, is what I'm trying to say. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Press Start Turbo. This week we'll be looking back at the death of Yuzu and Rooster Teeth and some labor news out of the industry. After that, Billy and I had the chance to talk to Lisa Blakie of Atawhai Interactive about funding for indie video games. Then to wrap things up, we'll be talking about Yakuza 0, as voted by the Patreon. Next episode, we'll be talking about Kenshi, so if you've got questions or things that you want to say about that game, go join the Patreon and go comment.
You were gonna say, like, this week on the show, the gay community has forgiven the baby.
Sweet. All right. With all that stuff out of the way, I kind of wanted to get started by talking about Yuzu.
Are we just going in? Yeah, we're going in.
We're going in.
That's right. That's right. Oh, yeah. Dude, we have such a specific track record with Nintendo. Every time we mention Nintendo, it's never good.
It's crazy, too, because we're recording this on Mario Day. I said that, but I was muted.
Ooh,
yeah.
It's Mario Day?
It's March 10th. It's Mario Day.
It's March 10th. It's Happy Mario Day, everybody. Wahoo!
Bless up to Mario. Mario, the type of freak to get you on the leather swing set and just start plapping.
Whoa, Brandon!
That's crazy. Let's talk about Yuzu.
Yeah, I guess so.
So for those unaware, Yuzu is was an emulator software for the Nintendo Switch. It was the most widely used one.
The Yuzu one?
Yeah.
A little bit of humor for you guys.
Last year, there was a lawsuit filed against them by Nintendo, basically claiming that there was no lawful way to use Yuzu and that it was being used for piracy and to even like leaking, because notoriously Tears of the Kingdom was available on emulation before it was actually available publicly.
Yes, and they also patched the game and selling those patches for Tears of the Kingdom on the Yuzu Patreon, which is one of the fucking stupidest things you could ever do.
Yeah, it seems not very well.
That was basically like the nail in their fucking coffin.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are specific to this situation that I think made it so the outcome that happened. So what happened basically last week, there was a joint motion out of this lawsuit. People didn't know what was going to happen. It was kind of like people were saying it could go either way in the favor of Nintendo or the Yuzu developers.
Yep.
But they actually settled last week for the sum of $2.4 million to Nintendo, and also making sure that, they gave the rights to the website to Nintendo of America, and also made it so it's illegal for them to distribute it.
They discontinued not only Yuzu, which is the Switch emulator, but Citra, which is the 3DS emulator, which I think of everything that has happened, I think losing Citra is the worst fucking thing that could have happened out of all this, because 3DS emulation is now kind of
preservation.
It's all about preservation. You can't buy those games anymore, dude. What are you gonna do? Go on the eShop? Like that having that as collateral damage is really fucking bad for archiving video games.
Yeah, this is probably gonna have a chilling effect on emulation for a while. Because previously there were, in the early 2000s, there were lawsuits against the PlayStation emulators from Sony.
PCX too.
Yep. Those lawsuits went in the favor of the people making the emulator, as it was illegal. Like, emulation is legal. The distribution of ROMs That's the illegal part.
Yeah.
And that's where like the intricacies of this one comes into play, where I think the reason why this was settled and they didn't go to a court case, and this is like speculation, but is to avoid the process of discovery, where I think it probably would have been found that Yuzu was like necessarily used unreleased and software that was, obtained maliciously. That's just there.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that happened. Like it's been really difficult to because a lot of this is very, very heavy, like hardware, software stuff that we don't like fully understand. So it's like you read this and it's like you kind of get the gist of it. But from what I can remember reading, they would distribute like the OS or whatever, the BIOS files inside Yuzu and Citra so that it would work out of the box. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why they were going to get fucked anyways. I can't remember if that's exactly what I read, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, the other thing is that it circumvents like things, the MCA and a lot of the like digital rights management stuff that's used to like anti-piracy measures.
Yeah, no, Yuzu was a bring your own BIOS emulator. That's not true. I was totally wrong. But the thing is, the way that Yuzu would circumvent the copyright protection was by using the keys that people would be using for the BIOS. That was the part that was illegal, because every key because I remember there was a flash card, like a Switch flash card that came out recently, and it was a big deal because of the way that it would circumvent copyright protection, because every Switch, like hardware Switch, has a specific key unique to the Switch, and then every game had a specific key that was just for this game. And it was like a whole thing where it's like, if the unique key for the game is played on one Switch, but then the same unique key is used on another Switch, it's going to be detected immediately, and then it like a whole bunch of shit. And basically, like, dude, it's so complicated. Either way, like, Nintendo just they were in the right on this end.
Yeah.
Just because they're in the right doesn't mean I think they're right for it. Let's be
I mean, like, it's the thing that's like the smoking gun of the situation is that they had updates released for the software before Tears of the Kingdom came out to allow the emulator to run Tears of the Kingdom. So
and they put it behind a paywall on their Patreon.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff like points to them having access to things that they definitely probably shouldn't, and may have gotten it from means that aren't necessarily legal. However, I feel like Nintendo claiming damages from this as if like the emulation scene has like affected their sales in any way, kind of like in my view runs afoul when you look at like Tears of the Kingdom being the fastest selling, like not only like Zelda game, but I'm pretty sure it's like the fastest selling Nintendo game of all time.
Is it? I would not be surprised.
They sold over 10 million copies worldwide in the first 3 days, which is nuts.
Nintendo reported that 20 million copies were sold overall in the past year.
It was also the first Nintendo game that had the like next gen price hike of like $70 American.
$100 with tax in Canada. Guess why I didn't get it.
So the idea that like Yuzu or like emulation was biting into their sales, it just doesn't carry a lot of water.
I mean, it feels like a lot of it is like a detractor. Like with big lawsuits like this, they try to get as much money out of the like the person doing this as possible, just as like a don't do this or we're gonna ruin your life.
Yeah, it's all to just send a message. It's not like it's the first time they ruined the lives of people. Like, they remember the fucking Mario Kart cheater or whatever. They basically ruined that dude's life forever. He has to pay Nintendo for the rest of his life.
It's to enact a chilling effect, to basically make it so emulation is a lot scarier for people, where these giant companies can at any point just be like, fuck you. I mean, even if they were to fight this, which again, based on like the cursory evidence that we have publicly, seems like they would probably lose, unfortunately, just for them, I guess. It's just like, you know, they would still cost like thousands of dollars in court cases, hiring lawyers and fees and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, I don't know.
The thing I am like, I don't know, I don't really like get about Yuzu doing a Switch emulator. Like, I get emulation's great for preservation of like stuff that you can't buy anymore, but like an ongoing, currently available console.
There's a really good reason. It's because the Switch is really fucking ass. It plays everything like garbage, dude. Like, Tears of the Kingdom drops frames so hard on original hardware, and it looks like crap. And a lot of the Switch exclusive games, specifically the one I have in mind is Shin Megami Tensei 5. That game ran so fucking bad, like it would become a PowerPoint the moment you would dash in the game. So a lot of people, they bought the game, and then what they would do is play the game on PC through Yuzu so that they could have 60 frames per second instead of like 20. That's the problem. Like, Nintendo games just run like shit. They just run like shit, dude. A lot of the people I know that were using Yuzu to play Tears of the Kingdom when it came out, a lot of my friends bought the game and then they would just use their license that they got from the game on their PC. I don't remember how the fuck they did it. And they would just play Tears of the Kingdom on their PC.
Yeah, I guess my thinking is that, like, yeah, Nintendo might be, I want to say, not necessarily in the right, but definitely legally in the right to take down Yuzu. I just am concerned about its implications for emulation in general, and hopefully it doesn't like discourage people from creating these tools that are like necessary for games preservation.
Just like every other time that something like this has happened, like it's just going to take it's a big step backwards. But then it eventually slowly comes back. Like, people are going to slowly come back and do more work on emulators.
Yeah.
It's just that right now we're in a spot where like somebody got in such insane hot water that people are going to think twice about it. Like, people are going to come back. They're going to be far more careful about how they do things, because let's be real, Yuzu was the dude, come on, like just selling software updates that for a game that wasn't even out yet and putting it behind a paywall, that was actually like asking for them to get in trouble. That was ridiculously stupid of them.
Yeah.
I think people are just going to come back, be far more careful, and it might take a bit of time. It might take like months or like years before people get back into it, but I do hope they get back into it, specifically for 3DS, because like I said, like, man, there's a lot of fucking gems on 3DS, really fucking good games that like people would like to play in a good, like in a decent fucking frame rate, or like, dude, I don't know. I honestly, I just want to play fucking Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, dude. And it's like a fucking $120 now just to get a copy. Like, fuck that. That's ridiculous.
There is no easy way in the West to play any of the Yokai Watch games.
Is that real?
Yeah. All of the Yokai Watch games were 3DS, or I think there is a Japanese exclusive one that you can import, but there is pretty much no way to play Yokai Watch games outside of the 3DS.
The Yokai Watch fans listening to this are just fucking slamming
they're like, holy shit, Brendan, my sleeper cell activated. Yeah, there was Yokai Academy Y. But it was a Japan-only release, and like I've always wanted to play them because they have such neat little designs. They got like the guys with the butts for heads, and I'm like,
That's fucking awesome. We love that for us.
I want to play Yokai Watch, but like there's no easy way to do it outside of like getting a physical copy for 3DS or hoping my 3DS still has Watch Blasters downloaded.
We love it. We fucking love it. No more Mario Picross for this guy, I guess.
And you know what else we're not getting any more of? No more Red versus Blue. No more Ruby.
No!
no more Genlock. Unfortunately.
No more Camp.
No more Camp. Of course, I'm referring to Rooster Teeth being shut down by its parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery.
Except the podcast. The podcast is still alive.
And I think it's they do advertising for other podcasts as well. It's like a MCN kind of deal.
Oh yes, they do. Yep. Yep, they do.
But yeah, this is the death of probably the one of the pioneering and biggest digital media.
It's like Machinima 2.0 basically.
Yeah, alongside Machinima, which got taken out the back by. Was it also Warner?
Was it also? Yeah, I just had this moment of was it also Warner?
Hey, I'm noticing a trend with these guys.
Yeah,
Machinima. Warner. It was Warner. It was Warner. We're right. Yeah, it was Warner.
Yeah, which happened a few years earlier.
To be fair, it was a different branch of Warner that died. When Warner Brothers Digital Networks Media, whatever the fuck it's called, died. That's when Machinima died. This is a different branch of Warner, which is so normal. I fucking love that Warner can just have a billion companies.
Well, yeah, they just keep buying them and then deleting them.
Rooster Teeth wasn't enough of a live service for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely wasn't making them any money, but it's also nominally in the scheme of Warner Brothers. I don't think it was I don't think it was taking a chunk out of their fucking pie.
I really doubt it. Yeah.
After 21 years of operation and being passed around fucking party favors, they've from full screen to Otter Media and then finally Warner Bros. Discovery. It's finally dead.
It's over. You know what's crazy though? You can still go and get a Rooster Teeth first subscription for as low as $5 a month right now.
Awesome.
They did not fucking deactivate any of that shit. You can still just go in.
If we all sign up right now, Warner Brothers is going to be forced to reopen them.
Guys, Morbius 2.0. Please, guys, let's do it.
Tell them to bring back Let's Play too. No, Achievement Hunter. That got shut down a couple months ago.
Yeah, well...
Wait, really?
Yeah, Achievement Hunter got turned into an archive channel a few months ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They released one final video where they just talked for an hour about starting up Achievement Hunter.
What the hell?
They were purging their stuff from YouTube starting from last year, right? They were trying to...
No, I don't think they were purging anything.
Were they not? I thought they were taking a lot of their stuff off YouTube.
Channel, the Achievement Hunter channel, at least the last video, because I watched it, because I grew up watching all those videos. They said it 4 or 5 times, it's not getting deleted, it's an archive channel.
Okay.
I mean, all of us grew up with Rooster Teeth in one way or another.
Yeah.
So,
Not me, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm kidding.
Fucking
so
bullshit, dude.
it's like
you're always I'm always catching you watching Kind of Funny starring Greg.
Oh, no, I never.
You fucking
Greg.
love Kind of Funny. They're
Greg
fucking funny, dude. Hilarious.
Greg,
wait, it's Kind of Funny Rooster Teeth?
It is.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Kind of Funny.
So it's Funhouse,
They own
yeah.
I know Funhouse.
They also own Death Battle, which is probably still their most popular fucking channel,
which is crazy,
right? Dude, I can't. Of all the why Death Battle?
I don't know.
Who's watching Death Battle?
I don't know, but it's still going.
Get it. Goku versus Superman 3 months ago was a giant fucking thing. Do you guys remember people actually fighting on Twitter and screaming at each other because of that?
I mean, people have been screaming about that for years.
Fucking Death Battle is crazy. I respect anybody who gets really, really into Death Battle. Good for them.
Do you remember Vicious Circle?
Oh man, the video.
Oh
game.
Man, I thought it was Cycle.
Was it Cycle or was it Circle?
It was Circle.
That's the thing.
Cycle. I can't remember.
You could believe both to be true.
No, it was
That's the
Vicious
thing.
Circle. It was about chicken nuggets.
Was it about?
It was about chicken nuggets. Yeah. It was a game where you played as the monster, and you were also guys trying to collect chicken nuggets, and you had to fight the
It's been
monster.
forever.
And then when you died, you became a monster goblin, and you could take over another player and just fuck them over.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes me sad to see any amount of people losing their jobs, especially the people who have been creative online in the way that they have for years. Another part of me is not completely surprised, because with a company like that, especially under the Warner banner where they're cutting everything in sight, that is taking up any amount of money that is not reality TV show where somebody pops a pimple. I am not surprised that Warner is cutting them, and it just sucks in an industry full of creative people to see what once was a great bastion for that creativity crumble and fall.
I mean, also dude, they've been going for almost 20 years.
21
No, they're 21 years.
21 years?
They
Really?
started in 2002, 2003.
I mean, dude, it sucks to say, but most big production, internet production companies just they don't last longer than 15. So the fact that they were even going for 20 years is fucking nuts.
I mean, I think it's because they tied like these companies like Machinima or Rooster Teeth, they tie themselves to these like legacy media conglomerates as like a way of, I guess, because like, you know,
the old media is killing new media, bro. What the hell?
Yeah, well, then they just don't know what the fuck to do with these like digital like these new media like groups, and they just, you know, they're like, oh, I don't understand this, so like fucking
they just kill it.
Like it's not earning the same amount of, you know, it's not earning enough money, and I don't know. It's just I could imagine like a world where, you know, Machinima doesn't get bought or something like that, and it's still going strong for like, I mean, it probably wouldn't be as big and encompass as many channels, but like...
Oh, Machinima?
No, Rooster Teeth, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Machinima. I was like, what?
But like, I don't know. It's just, it's sad to see like all these people losing their jobs, and like hopefully a lot of them get to land on their feet.
Yeah. Good for the podcast still being there, though. That's awesome. I hope that they can keep that going for a long time.
That'd be really interesting to see how that continues when everything else is dead around it.
I don't know.
In more positive news, so over 600 QA workers at Activision established the largest union in the video game industry in the US. The CWA.
Good things are happening.
Yeah, this is kind of like jumping off the back of the earlier news from last year, where the QA workers at ZeniMax were established their first union, and it was part of their like bargaining and assurances they got from Activision and Microsoft when they were doing the merger, that they wouldn't prevent any union authorization or any votes like that when the merger went through. So it's nice to see that they're like at least keeping some of their promises they made. But yeah, 600 members, which is like massive.
Hell yeah.
Yes. We love unions. We love that they're working. We love that there are more that are fucking happening, especially right now, because should I even bring this up, dude? I'm sorry. Fucking EA laid off like 700 employees, like pretty much same week. Seeing like the balance of like a layoff of 700, but there's still like 600 that just got unionized. It's like, it's good shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a sign of where the industry is at. The ways in which the workers who are still a part of that industry are trying to, I guess, get a foothold in you know, like in these companies that, you know, they don't really care about them in the same way as they should be, or value them in the way that they should be valued. So yeah, it's good to see them being able to, hopefully they can turn this union movement into like a wider industry movement, and it's not just like these select, you know, it's not just Microsoft.
Because the industry needs it.
Yeah, because the industry needs it really badly. And there needs to, you know, the only way to express your solidarity and your, I guess, to show a collective front is the way forward, I think. Especially when companies like Rockstar are issuing mandates, return to work mandates.
Yep. Yeah. Time to go back to work, fellas. Back to work, back at the office.
Which, to me...
What's the fucking point, dude?
To me, this reads as like a light layoff, I guess. This is kind of speculation. But for a lot of these people who were working from home, or you know, like in these like situations where they get to work from home some days and stuff like that, do so for legitimately like health reasons, like anxiety reasons, things like that. There's like so many reasons why people work from home and stuff like that, and to do this, and like even travel and like accommodation and things like that, which are like huge parts of this. It kind of like a lot of those people are just going to be left. I don't know what they can do. You know, it seems fucked.
The other thing that I heard brought up for this is that this is going to be a slope back to like horrible crunch culture, especially at Rockstar has been notoriously bad about that.
Yeah, and now that GTA 6 is like closer than ever, I'm sure it's going to get even worse. There's no way it's going to get better.
Yeah. And I mean, there isn't actually any evidence backing that working in an office increases productivity.
Isn't there like just proof against it?
Yeah, there's evidence to the contrary that like it's like more, you know, the more comfortable you are in your workspace, the more efficient you are. It's
but what you don't understand is that they have these big contracts for these big office buildings that they got to put big people inside of. Yeah. What are they going to do with all that money they're spending on the big building?
Get a smaller building then, dingus. What the hell?
No, they're on a leasing contract.
When it comes to work from home, I mean, I'm not going to play devil's advocate, but I will say that while I personally am somebody who would like appreciate work from home, it's not to say that there are not people that are outliers that prefer going into the office to have
absolutely.
I need to be at work so that I'm in work mode, because if I'm at home, I'm gonna goof off. So like, it's not just work from home good, work at office bad, but also like I would say that like I would give people a chance to accommodate would be much better overall.
Yeah. My point about that is that it's like there are people with scenarios and like you know, if you've got someone you have to care for, like if you're you're a parent and you've got a child and you can't be like
It's so crazy to me how, like, dude, parenting is so fucking nuts and it takes so much time and you have to be with your child, like, a fuck ton. And it's so weird to me that as a society, we decided that parents just cannot have time with their kids, you know? Like, fucking people have to go to work and just stay there for so long and barely interact with their kids. We spend so much time working, man.
Well, I mean, but that's one of the benefits of work from home.
Yeah, and, like, being there for your kid, like, even if you're not there, like, giving them 100% of your attention, at least you're there with them. And that's worth so much more than people could ever fucking imagine.
And, I mean, it's location and housing, especially, I mean, Rockstar North is located in the UK, and they have notoriously, like, a massive housing crisis over there. So, you know, not having to live in a center city area close to work and being able to commute.
Was it only Rockstar North, or was it just all Rockstar?
Hold on. Fact check.
I think it was just Rockstar North because this was being reported by the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain.
Yes.
Yeah, I just saw that. So right now we're just seeing Rockstar North.
I believe it's just Rockstar North.
Okay.
But yeah, that's another thing is that the workers union in Britain is pushing back against this. They've like submitted a petition, 170 signatures demanding continued remote work options. There's pushback against this like internally. I've yet to see any news about if that's gone and done anything, if there's been any like movement on that. But it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, it is I don't know. I'm especially after COVID and all this stuff where people have gotten used to these working conditions. To go back on that is it's concerning to say the least.
I can't wait for the fucking workers to have to be relocated across the country and just to fucking get fired. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
we love that for all of us.
In other, I guess, more positive news, Toys for Bob has gone independent.
Yeah, good shit.
Toys for Bob, known for games like the Spyro like remaster trilogy. They did Crash Bandicoot as well, the remasters of that.
Yep.
Remakes, I should say.
Yep. They also did Skylanders.
Yeah, Skylanders is the one that...
Now that they're independent, we can finally get it. Skylanders, buy toys, but for mature gamers.
No fucking way.
So I can buy a figurine with large breasts and put it on the pad to summon it in the digital world.
We could, dude. You're right though. Fucking dude, it's been long enough. The Skylanders kids are 18 now, and they're horny.
What fucking sentence? What a horrible fucking sentence to
They're
say.
adults now and they want to see breasts online. They're Googling that right now. It's time for the new market.
Booped Skylanders.
I just think saying the Skylanders kids are horny now is a real sentence.
That's not what I meant. I meant to say they're adults. Fuck. That's not what I meant to say. It's fine. Move on.
It's fine. You can make that worse in post.
I'll fix it in post.
This out of the Microsoft Activision merger, it seems like Microsoft weren't interested in Toys for Bob.
I mean, the only thing that Toys for Bob were doing at this point in time was
Call of Duty modes.
Yeah, they were doing Warzone Season 5 and Crash Team Rumble. And now that Crash Team Rumble is officially dead, I feel like they
didn't that game sell really well?
Crash Team Rumble?
Oh no, I thought my brain just went
You're
racing.
thinking of classic video game Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, my brain went to Crash Team Racing remake.
No, I mean, to be fair, you're not the only one. I was on Twitter and I saw a bunch of people do this same fucking thing. No, Crash Team Rumble went on for 3 season passes and I think it's done now. By the way, that game had season passes in case you were wondering. It was a live service Crash game.
Well, it was Activision.
But this is like another story of a studio going independent from their giant conglomerate. This follows Saber Interactive, and reportedly, I think Gearbox is also being sold off out of Embracer Group. I think Saber Interactive bought themselves.
I don't know if anybody bought it. Last I heard, it was for sale.
It was for sale, yeah. Randy Pitchford is out at auctions, like, being like, hey, anyone want to buy Gearbox?
You guys will get some money from the Borderlands movie.
I mean, no, but they have Gearbox Publishing, right?
Yes, they do, which is
like, that's a giant deal. That's probably a bigger deal than Gearbox itself.
Yeah, definitely.
What has Gearbox done apart from Borderlands recently? They made that one fucking video game with
Battleborn 2 is happening.
They published Remnant 2.
What? Are you actually? Are you
am I gaslighting myself, or is that not it?
Wait,
Battleborn just not know. Isn't Battleborn 2 happening?
No, I wish it was, because that game kind of fucking dude.
What's that game that's like a MOBA?
Battleborn. Oh, I'm thinking of Gigantic.
Gigantic. You're thinking of Gigantic. Gigantic's coming back.
No.
Gigantic is coming.
Gearbox is
good game.
What's the Gearbox game that came out and nobody played it, and now they pretend that it doesn't exist?
Battleborn.
No, there was
Borderlands
another one.
3.
No, there was another one. It came out and everybody forgot about it. It was like last year, and then it went on PS. It was like a PS5 game.
The third-person action game they had?
Fuck, what is it called?
Well, there was 1v1. 1v1 got canceled.
Forspoken is in Gearbox.
Godfall.
It feels like
Godfall was the third person.
Godfall.
That was like the 2020. I think that was the PS5.
That was not it. That was published.
Cameron, you're gonna tell me that Forspoken doesn't feel like a Gearbox game, though?
I'm gonna tell you know what I'm gonna tell you, Tian?
I haven't played it.
Publishing.
I
haven't played it either.
Dude, you know what? Forspoken might as well be a Gearbox game because it's fucking woke.
Gearbox is publishing Gigantic, which I didn't know.
They are?
Yeah, they are publishing the Rampage edition.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking correctly, just the wrong series. I was like, I know that they're making a second one of those MOBA games.
I hope they put the Penguin from Battleborn into Gigantic. That would be so epic.
Maybe they should just make a new Brothers in Arms. I'm sure now's the time.
Did you hear about the canceled Brothers in Arms?
No.
There was a canceled Brothers in Arms that Gearbox was working on that was going to be incredibly Gearboxy, where like each character was like just a stereotypical, like, I'm the big lunky guy. I'm the skinny tech guy. Yeah, there was a horrible canceled Brothers in Arms video game that Gearbox was going to make like post Borderlands. Yeah, it was Furious 4.
It was called Furious 4?
It was Furious 4. It was developed by Gearbox. It was going to be published by, I think, Ubisoft.
Oh, fuck me.
And
I'm looking at it. It looks great.
Yeah, it is.
They just have straight up gameplay of this canceled game. I fucking love when we find out a canceled game has like a shit ton of gameplay. It's always so interesting. This game was done, dude. What the fuck is this?
Like when we got gameplay of Rainbow Six Patriots.
Yeah, dude. It's so funny to look back
Siege.
at this shit, dude. Oh my god, dude, Furious 4 looks awful. Oh my god, no wonder. It's funny. We love this stuff. What were we even talking about?
We were talking about Toys for Bob.
Toys for Bob are going independent.
That's right.
Going independent.
That's right.
I think this is a more positive because usually when these mergers and shit happen,
This is probably the best outcome.
they just like any loose weight that they're not interested in, they just drop and will like just let die. Like for instance, Rooster Teeth, like we talked about earlier. Like, you know, they're not selling it back to, you know, the Bernie Burns isn't going to rebuy Rooster Teeth and start, you know, making fucking.
I think
the
man is good.
He's been gone for a while.
I know, but
I think he's good.
but it's cool to see that these teams still get to stay together, even though obviously there were layoffs last year from Toys R Bob. But it is nice to see them being able to continue apart from, you know, this major corporation that they're a part of previously.
Yeah.
And still get to hopefully make, I don't know, Spyro games or something.
Yeah. Dude, I'm going to be real. I thought it was so fucking weird when Toys for Bob were just put it into the fucking Call of Duty. Like,
I mean, that happened.
that team is so... No, it happens to everybody. It's just that
Vicarious
Toys
visions.
for Bob... I know, but Toys for Bob
Raven.
is so... They're so, like... specifically a cat, like for like they make kids games and they're really fucking good at it. It's just it feels like
Who
they have
better than to make Nicki Minaj skin for Call of Duty?
It's insane. What is going on? I'm hoping that they can go back to their roots and just make fucking kids games, dude, because there's not a lot of really good kids games out there, it feels like.
Ukulele 3.
Yeah!
Finally.
Ukulele 3. This time, Yuka eats Laylee.
Just like GameStop published video game Deformers. That's crazy.
Oh. Oh, boy.
All right, with that, I think we'll wrap up this first half and we'll go into the interview with Lisa Blakie. After that, we're going to be talking Yakuza 0.
Yeah, it's a good one. We love Lisa.
Welcome to the interview portion of For Press Start Turbo. Today we're joined by Lisa Blakie. She is the narrative director and co-director for Atawhai Interactive, an indie game studio based out of Otipoti, New Zealand. Their debut game, Tauroa Skycall, has just gone live on Kickstarter earlier this month. Please welcome to the show, Lisa.
Woo, yeah.
Fanfare.
Kickstarter, let's go!
Kia ora. Hi.
Kia ora. Morena. I just wanted to get started, just for people, obviously, who might not know you. Want a little background, like how'd you get into game development, and then just like a brief history of some of the work that you've done.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to keep it brief. I think I had a pretty like unconventional pathway into game development, I guess. I started as a community manager, and that was after I did a degree in like film and media studies as well, and I thought that I would maybe become like a game journalist like you guys.
Oh wow, that's the first
That's very flattering.
It's facts for real. But that just kind of seemed like something that was really far off and hard to get. But I was like, I wonder if there's even, you know, a game development scene in New Zealand, because I didn't know any companies or any games really, which was just like my own ignorance, I guess. But I just Googled game companies in New Zealand and there was one in Dunedin, or Otipoti, which is where I'm based and where I'm from, which is at the bottom of New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And they were hiring and they were looking for a community manager, which kind of listed all the things I did in my degree. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe I should like apply to get the job. But they're also called Runaway, I should say, the company name. But they make mobile games inspired by nature as well, and that was kind of aligned with like what I wanted to see more of in games as well. And I got the job, which was really incredible. And then I kind of wanted to know more about like game design and narrative design, because writing, like creative writing, is like my passion. And they were super supportive of that and just kind of wanted me to do whatever I wanted to do, which I think is quite rare in game development studios. But yeah, I got to work on probably the most well-known one is called Farista's Cat Cafe, and that's a mobile game where you match cats with customers and get to decorate a cat cafe, and all the cats are real-life cats as well, so my childhood dead cat is in the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cute.
But yeah, I got to work on a couple of titles doing narrative design with them, and loved working with them. But then this kind of like regional game development fund got started in New Zealand in 2020. So yeah, just as pandemic was kind of kicking off, and me and my friends were like, oh, it'd be so sick to make a game together. And so we applied for the funding, and we got it, and that is what Toroa Skycall is a product of that. So we've been working on it like part-time since kind of the start of 2021 and full-time since like 2022, I think. Yeah. And so
you're referring to code. Oh, sorry. You're referring to Code, which is the game development fund that was set up in 2020 for just funding specifically in Dunedin, is my understanding, or at least the headquarters are in Dunedin. So this is like a funding that the government gives and grants to independent studios here in New Zealand to kind of foster a game development scene.
Yeah, so it started in Dunedin, and I think it went national last year. So hopefully that means that New Zealand will be like, the best place to make games soon.
So yeah, what was that like going from because have you since left your job at Runaway?
Yeah, so I left the start of 2022. Yeah, that was when we kind of had enough money to get the game, to get all of us working on the game. We're just a team of 4. And so I was like, I don't know, because, I loved working there so much, and I'd been there for like 7 years, and I was so scared of, change. But just kind of got to the point where I was like, this is a really rare opportunity to get to work full time on something that you love with your friends. And I had also gotten offered like part-time teaching at the university as well, which was something I always wanted to do too. So it was just kind of like, sometimes in life all the good things happen at once and you can't ignore it. So yeah, that was kind of what happened.
What was the process like applying for that code grant? Because what were like the criterias you got? Like, did you guys go into it like, all right, we need to sort out our game, pitch this, and then like show them like a vertical slice or something? Or what was the process for that?
That's a great question. So we were in the very first round, and so we were applying just for prototype funding. And the prototype funding is where you essentially just have to write a really long piece of documentation that outlines, the idea for the game with concept art, as well as, the audiences that are going to get excited by it. You can't really pitch and be successful by being like, I have this really good idea for a game, but you don't have, the audience and market analysis. So that was how we went about that. And I'd had some practice doing that, like pitching game ideas at Runaway as well. So that was definitely a useful skill to have. But yeah, it was essentially a huge like game design document with like audience analysis and lots of beautiful concept art, and we knew we wanted to make something that was based where we're from as well. So
does that come back to, I guess, your you have roots? I remember reading about like you did your dissertation on Indigenous storytelling. So has that come back into play? Because Tauroa, for people who don't know, that's the Māori word for albatross. And we'll just give a brief overview of the game so people understand, and then we can go more into the decision making behind that.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I did honors in like 2015, and I knew I wanted to do it about games, but I didn't really know what to write about. But then I'm Māori, so that's the Indigenous people of New Zealand. So I've always been interested in how games and culture intersect, and just get like media and indigeneity and and just, you know, all that good cultural kind of analysis stuff, just that nerd stuff.
Yeah.
And the game Never Alone had just come out, which is made by Alaskan Inupiat tribe, and they made it. Yeah.
I remember Never Alone.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like the platforming game where you play as a young girl and an Arctic fox. That had just came out, and that was the first example I had seen of like, an Indigenous made game basically. And so I was like, cool, I'll write about that. And then I sort of took a backseat on, I guess, like that kind of like nerd stuff, like cultural critical theory in games and that sort of thing. And then, but I've always wanted to make a game like rooted in my culture, because, you know, it's cool.
It is, yeah.
And, you know, there's games like, you know, God of War and like Assassin's Creed and all these huge AAA games that center around like, you know, various cultures, but you don't really see any that are made by the people representing themselves. And so that's something I always wanted to do, and feel really lucky and like privileged that I get to do that.
Another thing that's really cool, like it's cool for like as a creator to do something in like with the folklore and the mythologies and all that of your culture, but like as somebody who, because I'm French Canadian, and there was a video game that came out called Sang Froid, and it got pretty popular around the, oh my god, like almost 10 years ago by now.
Yeah.
But it was written around a lot of folklore from Quebec. It was written by an author, like a writer. I mean, I forget the same word in French, but whatever.
Yeah.
Brian Perro, who's a guy who wrote a lot of YA novels from when I was a kid.
Oh, cool.
And it was really exciting to see it's always exciting as a gamer to see like all the folklore of your culture in a video game. It's always like point at the screen and go like, oh my god, I know what that is. You know, it's super cool.
Yeah.
So it's always a really cool thing to, when I see creators that go for like, oh yeah, let's talk about the mythologies of my culture and let's share it with the world.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And even like just New Zealand as well is like not really represented at all in games. And like, I don't know, I'm so hungry for just like more like local kind of like local stories and games that are just like super, like Venba that came out last year was just like incredible. Just those sorts of games.
Chia, was
Chia,
also like a beautiful like indigenous game that like from New Caledonia, and I'm actually like, it's been so great to see a lot more of these games get the support and the funding and get to made and then be incredibly successful as well, which is awesome. Always to see.
Venba is like, as a Canadian, that's such a good example of what you were talking about. It's that game made me cry a bit. I was really emotional.
Yes.
It's so good. It's
so good. And like so like, but in such a like beautiful understated way. Like it's not like, it doesn't like punch you with it. It's just like, here's what oh god.
Yeah.
Just
and
getting emotional
like
just
I'm gonna be honest, it's just the cooking. You like any game that goes into like the cooking of like a specific culture is like it's like a cheat code to emotional, you know.
Totally.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's like the most powerful like thing for nostalgia, right?
Oh yeah.
But just to go back to it, was that like a core part of Taro when you're like concepting it and coming up with the idea for the game? Was that like something that you drew upon?
Yeah, for sure. That was like, we actually, so the initial idea when we were kind of blue skying what we could make was, we knew we wanted it to be kind of based in Otipoti, or like sort of our kind of environment. And we were originally thinking of having a game where you kind of like transform into different animals, like when you like kind of travel along each sort of like ecosystem, you like turn into that animal. But you know, that was like, the scope was far too out of hand for that game. And so we were like, let's pick one animal And the reason we chose Albatross or Torua is mostly because we also feel like there's kind of a gap for like flying games as well, and so especially narrative driven ones. And so we wanted to make like a relaxing game. And what's great about Albatross is that they basically just glide. They don't really flap ever. And so that kind of lends itself to that sort of like relaxing flow-like sort of state. And the Albatross that it's based on as well is based on the peninsula here in our hometown. And so it's like the only mainland nesting site for them, so it's great having them there. We can just go and like visit and hang out and research them. But yeah, the game itself is primarily you play as the Albatross and you are flying back across the Pacific Ocean back to this headland to reunite with your family, and you're being led by one of the Māori gods, and his name is Tāwhiri Mātia, and he is like the god of weather. And so Albatross need the wind to fly. And so their relationship is super important in the game. But we're also kind of touching on like the environmental impacts in the ocean that we don't really see, and trying to kind of communicate rather than being like, we need to clean up the ocean. We want to communicate to be like, just stop using, you know, hard plastics and all of these resources that just will never go away and end up in these birds' tummies. But at the same time, we want the game to be like lighthearted and hopeful. So it's been a fun challenge trying to communicate all of that.
Yeah, you have to get that good balancing act so that it doesn't, you know, the last thing you want to do is be like preach or naggy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you have a mess, you never want to like, you want it to like, you want the player to internalize it like naturally.
Yeah, and sort of come to their own conclusions about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really hard tightrope to walk. That's a really fun challenge there, I can imagine.
It's been so iterative. Like the writing has just been really challenging for myself. But it's like a fun challenge. Yeah.
Is it so how is the team broken up? Is it and it's such a small team, like 4 people, I imagine it's kind of like everybody's doing everything that they know that they can possibly do.
Yeah, big time. So I do the narrative design and the writing, but I also do the community management too, as well as like business development, which is so weird. Like calling myself a co-director, I'm just like, I don't even know what I don't even know what that means. But
buzzwords.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, it's also my partner and 2 of my best friends. So, like, calling ourselves all co-directors is, like, very funny. But my partner, Connor, he is, like, the primary 3D artist. So he does all the modelling and the rigging and the animating, but he also helps with things like marketing art. He also just does, like, random stuff like our accounting. And then Max is our technical artist, and so he's working on things like all of the kind of like clouds, all of the sort of like fancy math stuff that goes into the art, but he also traditionally is like an illustrator, so he does all the concept art too, and a bit of programming as well. And then Mickey is our programmer, as well as like our producer, to make sure that we get stuff done. But he also helps with business development. And then we also have 3 contractors, one for audio design, which is David, and he worked on Dredge as well, which is another New Zealand made game.
Oh, we just we're doing an episode with them.
Yeah, we just talked about
like the episode before. Yeah, the episode coming out before yours is with the Dredge guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
I lined up a bit of Kiwi Dev.
That's so great. Oh, yeah, love them so much. That's ocean-based
sweet,
games. Yeah, homies.
What's with that? What are you guys on with ocean?
Being an island country kind of like pigeonholes you a little.
Yeah. Like, bro, the ocean, it just really speaks to me, you know?
It's so pretty. I totally get it. Yeah. It's so pretty.
Dredge is so dope as well, because like where they're from in Christchurch, like I feel like it like mirrors kind of the harbor that they have, even though it's like this Lovecraftian, horror game. But he's David's awesome. He's working with our composer Byron, who is like a DJ, but he also plays taonga, which are Māori musical instruments.
You can really tell the influence. That music is fucking wild. Sorry for the swearing. It's just so wild. It's so cool. It's so awesome. I just love it.
We're in sort of like a clip so people can have a little listen.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So what was the practical element of like setting up that team? Like when you first started, you guys had that idea, you're like, oh, okay, we want to make a game. Now we got to figure out like how we're gonna, put this all together. Like I assume most of the team were working at studios and stuff previously, and now like you guys are all do you get like a lot of support from your previous coworkers and stuff like that in terms of like how to actually do all this?
Yeah, totally. That's a great question, because like none of us are like business people. We're just we're all creatives, and I think that's the case.
It's so rare for creatives to act like be good with money.
Exactly.
I totally get that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I feel like that's especially the case with games as well. So Mickey was working for like a education software company before that, and so this is like his first game, which is wild because he's just like incredible programmer. And Max came from traditional art background, so was doing a lot of work for like local businesses and that kind of stuff. And Connor actually had just recently his position got made redundant. So it was quite stressful, but it was kind of good in the end, because he got to move into this full time. But the code team is just amazing. Like they provide basically anything you need to know about like not just making the game, but like the weird business side of it. Like we didn't even know that you had to be a company to like get the funding. So we had to like make a company, and we like set it up like in our favorite bar, and we're just like, I think this is right, I don't know. And just stuff like that you just don't really ever think of. But like my previous colleagues at Runaway have just been amazing in terms of just like support for talking to like publishers and talking to like marketing people, and just all that stuff outside of kind of making the game, but also playtesting it as well. I feel like the scene here in New Zealand is just incredibly supportive of each other. Like we all want everyone to do well. There's no like infighting or like stealing and that kind of thing. It's so great. I love it so much. But it's the process of actually setting it up was pretty weird, just in terms of us like being friends and hanging out, and now we're in our office together, and we work our little jobs, but it's great. It's awesome. I love it so much, and I never want it to end, but we'll see.
It's the kind of thing with game development. It is a very turbulent business sometimes.
Totally.
Never know. Especially, I can imagine like funding for a small studio where you don't have any released games yet. I imagine that can be quite challenging because from my understanding, the code funding only goes so far. It's like it's mainly just for like initial startup and like maybe the first year or so. But you guys are how many years into development are you guys?
If we started full time 2022, so. Like 2 and a bit years.
2 and a bit years, yeah.
Yeah, so, and you're totally right. Like, the code funding is for you to get to a point where you can essentially pitch the game to external funders.
That's one thing we're really interested in knowing is How does where do you get funding after the prototype is done and you're basically told like, okay, now
now it's up to you.
Go and get money.
Yeah.
Go and get money now. Figure it out. Like how does that work? Do you shop publishers?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
Where do you go?
Yeah,
from
what was
there?
your guys' process for that and where you landed up?
Yeah, so we were really lucky, but we also worked really hard. I need to keep reminding myself to say that. So yeah, we got code funding that was enough to kind of take us to basically a build after alpha to pitch to publishers. And before that, we were really lucky because the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, which is like a government, what are they called? Like body part of the government? I don't know. With the government.
Yeah.
They had like this post-COVID recovery fund where you could essentially pitch them, an idea and ask for funding to get it over the line. And so we pitched for that to get the game to an alpha state, and we were super lucky to get that. And so we were able to buy things like computers, rent an office space, pay for internet, all that kind of thing. So it's basically for us has been purely within New Zealand has been the funding, and that has gotten us to essentially maybe November last year, because the game has been so iterative as well. Like we sort of anticipated that it would take longer than we thought, and we don't want to release something that is like unfinished, and so we've been really on our like hustle recently. So we work other jobs as well as working on the game right now. We've pitched to publishers, heaps of publishers as well, and we've had really, really great conversations, and ones where we were like, I think we'll get a deal to go through, and then it just doesn't. But I think that's indicative of just the kind of climate that the game industry is in right now. There's essentially no kind of publishers or funders that will fund anything that isn't like over, like $250,000 USD. And that's like, we don't need that much. That would actually be bad for our business if we asked for that much money, because we would have to pay it back and recoup it. And we're like, we don't know if we're going to make that much money. Yeah. We're just this tiny little albatross game.
So publishers are only looking for even like smaller indie publishers are looking for games that are seemingly enormous.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that one. It's just I'm kind of.
No,
I thought that there would be smaller funds as well.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. No, it's just kind of, I don't know, I don't really understand it either. I think it's like they want to make sure that they can recoup the amount that they put into these games. And because they're kind of, we were also pitching at a point that was, pretty, still kind of early on, like it was still in alpha. And a lot of feedback that we got was like, we want to see more. And I'm like, okay, how much more? We're still making the game,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird kind of like business. It's a weird kind of like, I don't know, relationship. But publishers are amazing, and they are the reason that there are so many incredible indie games that have succeeded. But I think it's just also because we're a new team. We haven't shipped anything, so the risk is a bit higher for them.
Still at the point of like proving yourself.
Yeah. That's kind of how we're still pitching to publishers now.
If any publishers are listening,
if any secret millionaires who love Albatross are listening and want to give us some money,
just hang around at the Albatross colony and wait for someone with the fanciest car to come past.
Totally, yeah, that's a great strat.
So is that kind of how you guys landed on Kickstarter for your game?
Yeah, totally. So Kickstarter, I think, is kind of our last sort of like point of call. Kickstarter is like very interesting too, because a lot of games use Kickstarter now purely for marketing. So like they'll just put their game up, they'll have like a marketing budget to kind of bump their own sort of like funds up, and they use it for visibility, which is like so fascinating to me. But yeah, we're using it in the old school style of please fund our game so we can finish making it. But also Kickstarter is perfect for us because the amount that we need now is like much smaller than what we previously needed, and there's lots of like games that have been successful that are kind of in our niche of like relaxing, kind of wholesome games with non-violent gameplay. They seem to do really well, which fingers crossed that happens for us. And if not, the game will still come out.
We also, while we're on the topic, I will mention that if you want to check out the Kickstarter, it is going to be in the description, and we're going to be linking a trailer for the game as well.
Cool. There will also be a demo available, I should say that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you can play it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's actually that's a great idea.
That honestly, usually that's a big seller, because instead of just like selling an idea, you're selling the actual.
Yeah, it's like you can play it and decide. Real. Play it and decide for yourself. Yeah, totally. Yeah, funding games is like really weird and horrible.
Yeah, it is. It must be especially difficult. Yeah, just we're talking about on the climate right now for video games. I think that it does come down to that kind of risk reward, because like I assume the calculation on their side would be the more money we put in, the more likely it is going to be successful. Rather than like the actuality of how games get made and like how much resources they need and like, you know, if you put in a little bit less, like for the smaller game, you know, there's got a smaller niche, but it's more likely to succeed within that niche, I guess, is like would be the thinking. But who knows?
Totally. Yeah, I truly do not know. I mean, I kind of know, maybe, but also I don't know. I think with a lot of publishers too, there's a lot of like layers of, you know, people on top who actually provide the funding that they can use, and so there's still that kind of hierarchical thing going on within them as well.
What would be your advice you'd give to someone wanting to like start a new studio in the way that you guys have? Like if they've been working, they've got this idea and stuff, and they wanted to like, they're like, oh, okay, but I've got no idea how to actually get this thing made, how to get the money, etc. What would be your like, if you could like, you know, talk to yourself, you know, two and a half years ago and give you like the rundown, what would that be?
I think that the main thing is just to like, if you have a funding body or funding opportunity where you're from, is just to go for it. Like there's nothing holding you back except for yourself in that instance. I think a lot of people are afraid of failing, but with Code's case, like we were really lucky that we got through in the first time, but a lot of our friends applied and didn't get through in the first run. But with Code, they would give you advice because they want you to succeed. You know, they're not hoarding their money; they want to give it away. And I think that's the case for most funders as well, is to just, you know, put your best foot forward and just try again. And then maybe if you know it gets rejected multiple times, then maybe it's time to think of a new game idea as well. But also, I don't know, like if you just like making games as a hobby, like don't make it your job, because you'll end up having to like do accounting and do business development and you might not enjoy that. And you know, it's just as valid to be a hobby and something that you work on for fun as well.
What are some of the lessons you've learned from striking out on your own this way?
Oh, so many lessons. I'm tired of the lessons. I'm tired of learning.
No more.
No more learnings, please. I think the main thing, I don't know. It's like so much time goes into marketing, pitching, trying to get external funding, that you almost just need to add on an extra year for the game to get made. Like the actual game making has been very iterative and like really fun, and I feel like it's in a place where it really stands as to what it will be in the finished game. But it just took so long to get there because of just all the external stuff that you don't really think about when you're making a game. So I think I would tell myself to add an extra year onto the timeline.
Gotcha.
Yep. And just to, you know, keep eating fruit and vegetables so you don't get sick.
That is honestly probably
that's
a huge one,
that's
like-
for everybody. Yeah, that's for everyone. That one's a freebie for everyone.
Yeah, you can't live on ramen. You can't do it, sadly.
We out here.
Yeah.
For people who are like interested in these like kind of cozy games, what would you say that like sets Taroa apart, and what's the like driving factor behind the game?
Yeah, totally. I think that what makes our game kind of stand out is the fact that it can either be a relaxing flight game, or you can get into the kind of like Need for Speed mode where you try to go as fast as possible do all the like, sick tricks if you want to. We wanted to cater for kind of both. We wanted the controls to be accessible to everyone. I get my mum to play it all the time so that I can make sure that it's accessible to people who don't consider themselves gamers or whatever. Also, the story itself is totally unique purely because it comes from, Māori culture, something that doesn't really get any spotlight in games as well. But yeah, if you're someone who likes flight games, wants, something that is relaxing or story driven, but also maybe you want to like go fast and go down sick cloud hydro slides, then this is the game for you.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're all good.
I'll let you finish.
I was just gonna say if you love Albatross.
True. How early in the development was the controls and the actual gameplay loop set up? Like how early did you guys have that like down?
The gameplay loop was essentially from the game design document. It hasn't really changed that much. It's kind of similar to like Abzu, which is like the underwater diving game.
Yeah.
If anyone isn't familiar with it. Yeah, so it's like the loop is kind of like set in these like larger rooms where you can explore and interact and talk to characters and find, all the cool environmental storytelling. And then you get, and then you move into, we call them like corridors, but that's where you essentially have the momentum and the joy of flight happening the most in those. And so that hasn't really changed too much, but the controls, like we only, I think, nailed them a month ago. It was really difficult to get the satisfying feeling, and I think that was due to Albatross don't flap. And so gliding had to feel fun and feel, I guess, like organic, because it's not like a plane, it's not like a flight simulator game, even though it kind of is. Like now the controls are fire, like they're so good, in my opinion. But yeah, it took a long time because we were also grappling with things like motion sickness, getting the animations to feel right with things like taking off and turning, and just making it not feel like static, because they are just gliding. It does kind of feel like they don't really move. So yeah, just getting all that stuff polished took a really long time. But it's the main part of the game, so you want to make sure that it's as good as it can be.
How much did you guys draw upon being that close to the peninsula and being able to go down and like did that tie into like, okay, we need to get this animation right because like I see them when they're soaring, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. How many you guys go out there with binoculars quite a bit and
video cameras,
stuff like that?
Yeah, we did. And it's so interesting because every time we go out there, it feels like we learn something new about them. And just seeing them, it's like, we're like, oh my gosh, it's like the game. But yeah, I remember Connor, like, I think the last time we went out there, he was like, damn, I'm going to have to change that animation again. Because, like, they are so surreal looking and so otherworldly. Like, they're so massive and they just look so effortless the way that they glide. It's really hard to, like, or it was really hard to simulate in the game because we wanted to do it justice, but we also wanted it to feel, fun and like, not like you were just kind of like gliding and not doing anything. We still wanted it to feel dynamic. But yeah, every time we would go out there, it was kind of like learn something new. Like the way they use their feet to slow down, they like stick them out like little paddles, like a plane. Just stuff like that.
It's a bunch of stuff that you would never think about when you just like passively look at them, but when you have to start studying them, it's like, oh my god, they're so complicated.
God, absolutely, I think that we probably wouldn't get that level of kind of like detail that we're getting if we weren't able to go and see them all the time, you know. So really lucky that we got to do that. That was kind of the main inspiration too. Like, after COVID we went, or like the first lockdown, after the first lockdown we went on like a cruise and we saw them flying up close, and I was like, man, that'd be a sick game to like play as an albatross.
So how much do you feel like COVID, I want to say inspired, but like how much of like that kind of like drove you guys? You're like, okay, we need to, you know, we want to make something, and like, you know, being cooped up, I feel like a lot of people, in fact, a lot of people we've even talked to have kind of cited COVID as
that's true,
a kind of catalyzing event, I guess, for a lot of creatives.
Yeah, totally. I think it's kind of natural, right? Like when you're just cooped up and you're kind of like thinking about your life,
going absolutely crazy.
And just being like, what am I doing? What should I be doing? How long will I be in here? I've got to make the most of this one life, you know. It definitely, I mean, I think it was that, but also the fact that the code funding got announced. Like, this game wouldn't exist without that. Yeah, it was a lot of things, I think, that made it happen. But COVID definitely helped with the, I guess, I shouldn't say COVID helped with it. Lockdown. COVID.
It's so strange talking about how,
COVID has been really unhelpful.
It's been unhelpful, but it's been helpful for self-actualizing a lot of things as people, though, because I totally get, like, ever since COVID ended, like, I've had, like, a lot of moments of just, like, oh, man, I need to grow and change as a person. And it's not because of, I mean, it's because of COVID, but I wouldn't say COVID helped, you know?
No, absolutely. Also, this is very, like, astrology. Doesn't make any sense, but that was around the time of my Saturn return, which was apparently apparently it's when you're meant to, like, I don't know, make big life changes, and it checks out, so it must be real.
It must be real.
It must be real. Proven. Yeah.
We just did a breakthrough right here, right now.
You can quote me on that.
It's also just from an outsider perspective, and after talking to the Dredge developers, Black Salt Game and stuff like that, it's been really, because I'm not sure if you've noticed it, but I certainly have. Just there's been a kind of explosion since the code funding in a lot of indie game studios within New Zealand, totally. In a way in which there weren't before. A lot of, like, previously it was that you had like a couple studios, or not a couple, but a few studios around the place. You have like the one big one being Grinding Gears, and then like, you know, the smaller like mobile development studios, and then maybe a couple indie ones doing stuff. And now it's like there are so many different studios making cool games. Like all over the place. It's been really inspiring to see.
Yeah, totally. Like, even when I started, like, at Runaway, there was only kind of like 3 big ones that I knew of. And like you said, that was like Grinding Gear, Pickpock and Wellington, who make mobile games, and then Runaway, of course. But Runaway was tiny, like, then as well. Like, it was only like 10 people when I first started. They've grown a lot now. They're like 40 people or something. But I think that's due to code as well, because they funded like game development training at the local polytechs, and, you know, they're hiring people out of that. So it's like this really nice kind of, like, I don't know, I guess like future-proofing effect.
It feels way healthier for the industry as well, because when you have these kind of consolidated big studios, like, you know, whatever your Grinding Gears or your Rocket Works or whatever, a lot of the time they're looking for people with a lot of experience, and with that previous, like, knowledge. So then it kind of becomes, I don't want to say incestuous, but like,
for sure,
you're the same kind of people are being hired, and there isn't, like, you know, if you're a student coming out of like game development course, there isn't like a lot of opportunities. But now with like a lot more of these smaller studios, they're not in this necessarily looking for, you know, people who are these veterans or they themselves have the opportunity to like go out and make their game that they've been thinking about, which is super inspiring.
Yeah, a really cool example of that, actually. Like, one of the students that I taught like 2 years ago, her and her friends just got code prototype funding. So
that's awesome.
So cool to see. Yeah, it's just so great. It's so nice. Hopefully it continues forever.
Yeah, crossing our fingers.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I think we'll end it there. Thanks again for coming on, Lisa. If you've got any final things you want to say, pitch the Kickstarter maybe.
Yeah, please back us on Kickstarter, but also if you don't want to and don't have money, totally understand. We also don't have money. So you can wishlist Toro Skycall on Steam as well. That would be super cool.
And also, hey, there's a demo, isn't there?
Yeah, you can play the demo.
It doesn't cost anything to play the demo. Try it out.
Yeah, and it's free, and you can tell us what you think about it in our Discord if you want to, or on Steam. But yeah, we love any and all feedback is welcome.
You actually just brought up a good point. Sorry, just to continue on for a little bit. The wishlisting is like actually a massive thing that I found out.
Yeah,
you're so right. We were talking about that. Yeah. Wishlisting.
Wishlisting is like something that I feel like people do absent-mindedly, like, oh, that kind of looks cool. But for developers, it's actually like a massive thing, because it's something you can point to when you're shopping your game around and stuff like that and be like, look, there are people interested in it. This is like it's... I don't know. It's something that people don't think about a lot that I just wanted to like point out.
Wishlist. There's a reason why Wishlist Us is like everywhere, like in every trailer nowadays.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, because wishlists are basically gold. For any indie developer, it's essentially, like you said, you can point to it as statistics for, funders, publishers, marketing, all that kind of stuff. But also on Steam, the more wishlists you have, the more visibility you get. And that is the most important thing for indie game developers, because, there are thousands of games on Steam.
For sure.
I don't know how many new games there are a day, but the wish listing is I know that, you're so right. Like, I used to think it was like a really passive thing too. I'd just be like, yeah, cool, that might look cool. But it means so much to developers to wish list. So please.
Sorry, I just wanted to like break through on that, because I think it's a super important point, because it's very similar to like how you'll hear YouTubers go like, please like, and stuff like that. It's a very similar setup where it's like, otherwise we won't have any visibility and we're just gonna fall into the hole.
Speaking of which, please like and subscribe.
Sorry to bring it back around, but thanks again, Lisa. This has been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Welcome to the game portion of the episode of Press Start Turbo, where today we're going to be talking about Yakuza 0 as picked by the Patreon.
Finally, we get to talk about Peak!
True. If you want to have a hand in deciding what we play, not next, because that's already been decided, but
that's Kenshi.
The one after, you can head on over to the Patreon. And if you want to comment on the next game, or you got any questions for us about Kenshi and things like that, head on over to the Patreon, and then we might read them out in the next episode.
Also, if you have any tips and tricks for Kenshi, please God, this game is so fucking...
Send us
not to spoil what my thoughts are on Kenshi already, but like, please God, send me resources for Kenshi. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, send me Excel spreadsheets so I can understand this game.
Send me an Excel spreadsheet. Why would you need an Excel spreadsheet for Kenshi? Let's move on to Yakuza.
Anyway, Yakuza 0.
The money game, baby. Ka-ching.
Which I've heard is the 6th entry in the series.
It is the 6th, yes.
But it's a prequel to the rest of the
first
games.
Chronologically.
Basically, like nowadays, it goes like 0, Kiwami 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7.
Is 7?
Gaiden.
No, I think Gaiden is before 7.
Yakuza Like a Dragon is the Western name.
And then it's Infinite Wealth.
Yeah. There's a lot of games.
So,
Well, then it's I mean, chronologically.
where do we put Dead Souls?
Localized Dead Souls.
Okay. Before we
then 7, and
before we
then
get all of
Infinite
this,
Wealth.
But what about the PSP spin-off games and
Oh, what about
Judgment?
Ishin and Tenzin?
Oh my god, that's the first
Dead
one.
Souls, please. Dead Souls, please.
So it goes Ishi. No, we're not doing this. Okay.
Ishin, Tenzin, Dead Souls.
Zero.
Stop.
Zero.
No.
Mr. Shakedown be like,
what is everyone's experiences with Yakuza? Like, what before going into this?
I've played all of them.
Yeah. What has everyone? Am I the only one who hasn't finished Yakuza 0? I'll say that. First.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is everyone else has finished it?
I feel like we should go around and talk about where people are in the series.
Yeah.
We're not just as the disclaimer, we're only going to be talking about up to chapter 4 of Yakuza because that's where Yakuza 0 because that's where Cameron is.
Yes.
But for me,
I finished chapter
played-
5. Just
No, you finished chapter 4.
did I?
That was 4.
I've got an achievement for completing chapter 5.
No,
This guy played
you
the game
finished
before.
chapter 4.
No, I haven't.
You forgot about Chapter 0.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe.
Also, we literally were watching you play, and it said,
that was chapter
"Welcome
4?
to chapter 5."
I finished the first Majima section.
Yes.
Chapter
And
4,
that's when the
yes.
game hooks you. It's great.
That's when the game gets fucking very good.
So yeah, only spoilers up until then.
Yeah, but I played every Yakuza game except Infinite Wealth, and I did not finish Ishin because more like E-shit.
Pishin.
Ishin's good
Piss
gameplay
shit.
wise. It's just the big problem with it is it's such a no spoilers. Like I'm keeping that in mind. By the way, 10. Like I'm making
Yeah,
sure.
we're
I would explode.
If I talk about spoilers without warning, 10 will absolutely hit me with a hammer over the head multiple times.
Yeah, no, and he should because Yakuza is genuinely peak. Probably one of my it is fucking top 3 series of all time. God, it's good.
Yeah. And with Ishin, I think the biggest issue that Ishin runs into is the amount of historical knowledge that it tries to cram into itself and into the player as you play. Is if you don't have a base of Japanese history during that period, it just isn't as interesting. But if you are big into, products of like that Edo period. That time when the West was coming to Japan a little bit, then you will probably love Ishin because the gameplay's good. It's just it can get so boring as you play it with the amount of stuff inside of it.
I disagree because I love that time period in Japan in other media. Like, oh god, people are gonna point at me and make fun of me, but I really like Fate Samurai Remnant, and that's around the same period as this. I love. Oh god, what's the anime? My husband is making me watch this anime. It's so good. Golden Kamuy. It's like around the same period. It's a bit later in that period, but it's really fucking good, man. I love that stuff. It's just something about Ishii just does not work for me. Either way. All that to say, that's the only good fucking combat. Oh, anyways, we're not doing this. All I'll say is I played every game in a span of 6 months because I was obsessed with these fucking games. They're so fucking good.
And 10, what is your experience with Yakuza?
I've played all the way. I've played through 4. I'm at 5 now. I just haven't gotten around to giving it a good enough shake that it like gets its hooks into me. Because all the Yakuza games are a million hours long, and the first couple of chapters are super slow.
That's why those games are really hard to get into. I find
there's a point in every single one of the games though where it grabs you and it's like, this is all I'm doing for the next week is playing Yakuza.
Yeah, because those stories get juicy, bro. The drama, the melodrama. Ooh, mamma mia, dude, that shit good.
I'm only in it for the sub stories. So
the sub stories are fun though.
Brendan, you're like me, right? You play pretty much every of them.
I always stop at
you've
5 during the last couple of chapters. I always try to play it, and then I get to the last couple of chapters, and I'm like, okay, I got to put this down, and then I forget about it. Same with 6, where like I've played the first like 5 hours of 6, and I can never get past like the first couple of hours. And I've played every single other one all the way almost to 100% completion, but 5 and 6 have always been like it is really tough for me to get past certain segments in 5 and 6.
The thing is, I understand because 5 is a fucking beast. That is the big. I can't believe that game existed, and it was on the PS3, and it was, dude. That game is like disgustingly huge. It's like 70 hours, dude. What a fucking hog. And 6, I mean, 6 has some issues with the combat, I'm not going to lie. That's when they switched to the new Dragon Engine. And it was growing pains, let's call it.
But what about the Fist of the North Star game they made?
I haven't played that shit,
I have a physical copy of it. I haven't played it yet, so
Oh man, you're probably rich. You should sell that.
It came with a sticker that says shit balls.
Shit balls?
Shit balls.
Yeah. Like shit balls? Balls of doo-doo?
Yeah, like big balls of doo-doo.
Why?
Oh, I think it's a thing in the show. I don't know enough about Fist of the North Star.
More like fist. Cameron, you were saying something?
This is my experience with Yakuza is being recommended to start with Kiwami, the first one.
Wrong.
Getting
Wrong.
like 7 hours into that game and it not really grabbing me. I didn't really like.
Who? It was not Ed. There was no way it was Ed.
I'm pretty sure it was Ed.
There's no
I would never say Kiwami. You know why? Because Ed and I agree. That game is skippable. That game stinks.
I don't know. I was told that it was better to start with Kiwami. It might not have been Ed. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure it was Ed.
Here's why I think somebody might have said that. That's because the improvements over from Kiwami to 0 are so fucking giant, massive, insane.
Yeah.
That it's like it's hard to go from 0 to Kiwami.
And also 0 is maybe the best story in the series.
It's also maybe the best gameplay in the series.
Yeah.
Unless you're fucking based like me and you say that it's 5.
It's going from peak to this game's pretty good. And then you play Kiwami 2 and you're like, oh, this game's also peak.
Kiwami is a remake of the first game on PS2. So and it's very faithful in a lot of aspects. And
I like the story of Kiwami 1 more than 0.
Oh my god.
I think it's better with the lead up from like 0 to Kiwami, but I like the story of Yakuza 1 more than 0.
I mean, I got like 5 chapters into Kiwami and I don't know, it just still didn't.
It's underwhelming.
I'm
gonna be honest, it does get better. Thing is, I like, you know how slow 0 is? It takes like 4 chapters to really get going. Kiwami feels like the entire game is just build up until it finally like shit happens at the very, very, very end.
Yeah. So I want to just like start transitioning us into talking more specifically about 0.
Because I'm gonna be honest, like we're gonna be. We can keep going and compare every single game because they're so drastically different, but we're here for 0. Let's talk about 0.
I wasn't going into this game as a hater per se, but more as like I didn't think these games were really for me, and that it was just like, oh, I felt like I got Kiwami, and I was like, okay, I get why people enjoy these games and really like them, but I don't think they're for me. And at the start of 0, I was like, okay, I'm still feeling the same way. And then I started playing as Majima. And
yes, that's it. That's when it happens. And that's the fucking click.
Because there were parts before the start of Majima's chapter that I was like, okay, this is actually getting super interesting. Where it was talking like it was the Tachibana realty company or
yes, real estate. And this guy showing his like total control over Kamurocho and like and the use of like the homeless people, getting people like evicted, and like this like it was like this cool narrative. And then you start playing and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like this is like interesting, like kind of how do you say, like intrigue and like, oh, what's happening here and who owns this empty lot kind of thing. And then you start playing as Majima, and it's like completely different vibe. This is this fucking cool ass dude who's like, you know, fucking running this cabaret club, and is just like his opening scene where he's dealing with the fucking drunk guy who's messing with a woman. The music, oh my god!
He just like goes there like, all right, play me something upbeat, and just starts fucking with this dude. Who's like, I'm gonna give you the best service ever. Like, you can't touch me. Like, It's so cool. It's
Hey,
like
that intro is unbelievable. That made me a fan of Majima because I'm gonna be honest. I had the same thing happen to me where I started with Kiwami 1 and I really did not understand the hype. And when I got to I didn't really like Majima because Zero does so much to make Majima so fucking likable. Oh, he's so cool.
yeah, and like honestly, the game just like starts picking up a lot more as well, even in like the sub stories as well. Because I was doing like every sub story that I came across as I was going from like mission point
that's
to
what you're
mission.
It's worth doing. The sub stories are
great.
incredible, especially Zero. Zero has some of the best ones.
The ones in the first opening chapters were, I want to say underwhelming, but like not as interesting.
You hear a lot of the
Yes, they had a very similar theme of like, oh, you
that's the
misunderstood this
Yakuza
person.
sad story music
Yeah.
that is in every game. That
It's actually
you will
tragic
start.
that she was showing, like, selling her underwear or something. Like, you know,
You're
that
going
kind
to you're going to have that if you play any more of
yeah.
the Yakuza or Like a Dragon video games.
That exact song is in every single.
That
one of
exact
them.
song is in all of them, and it will set you off like a sleeper agent.
It's so funny.
That fucking thing will drive you crazy. That song is. I think they even use it in Gaiden, dude. That's how much they fucking use that
But
song.
they use that for any time things get a little sad or serious in the sub stories. It's like, all right, play the song.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, did you guys have a similar experience where it's like the first, like, you know, it starts off very slow, like very like you're like.
Oh,
I
Yakuza
gotta
Zero
clear-
took me 8 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
It took me at least 3 times to get into Yakuza Zero.
I think it was my 4th time trying to get into it.
Yeah.
Damn.
No, it took me a long time, and then eventually I told Ed, like, dude, this fucking, I can't get into this game. I just don't know. And then he was like, how far do you actually get? And I was like, I don't know. I like the start of chapter 2 and I get bored. And he was like, dude, trust me on this, get to 4.
That's literally
That's like
it.
actually literally if you're listening right now and you are having trouble getting into this series, like it's a giant time commitment because how long does it take? Like 10 hours? It's a big time commitment.
Yeah, but then it gets you and it's like, all right, this is peak.
Yeah, no.
It is probably the only video game that I will say, no, it does get good.
Yeah.
Like a couple of hours in, and it's not that the opening hours of any Yakuza game are they're not necessarily bad. They just front load you so much you get cutscene fatigue.
You
Yes.
get cutscene fatigue and also just information fatigue, dude. There's so much going on.
They try to lay the foundation a little too thick in all of them, and it is my biggest criticism towards them. Where like they basically try to like build this knowledge base for you to explore later in much faster and better ways.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of watching a cutscene, walking down a street, getting into a couple fights, and then watching
a
another
cutscene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the first part. And there isn't a lot of connective tissue there. There isn't like a lot of like mixing up. It's like, oh, I need to find this person. Let's walk down this street and listen to this person say this thing. Oh, but this,
and then
but
it's
the
like
part-
a fetch quest in a way. It's like
I think what Yakuza 0 does, I think, better than Kiwami at least, and to like bring up the comparison, but like I think it starts doing the sub stories earlier, which I think is a big plus because they're
because you at least get something to like really dig your teeth into and like get really invested in, because it's easy to get invested in the sub stories because they all have like such a solid start, middle, and end. They come back in different games, like sub stories that you do in Zero, you'll see them again in like, I don't know, fucking Kiwami 2. Like
really?
These games have such amazing fan service.
Well, a lot of Zero, especially the sub stories and stuff. A lot of it is built towards,
because it came out. It's the 6th game.
Yeah, it's the 6th game. So like there are a lot of sub stories that are direct references to later games, and it does that in such a way where the The only positive of playing Kiwami 1 before playing 0 is you may understand a couple of like little things or little tidbits from sub-stories. But that's like it. Overall, the gameplay of 0 is a lot better. Playing as Majima and having a much better character exploration of him at the beginning is a lot better. And the references that are there, you're either going to internalize them, and then when you get to later games, you'll be like, oh, I remember that thing I did. Or you're just going to forget, and you're going to enjoy in the moment what you're playing anyway.
But yeah, the first sub-story that like kind of stuck out to me as being like really fun and different from the like, you know, oh, it was, you know, this person was a thief, but actually it's a sub-story kind of thing, was the band that you help out. The like greaser. What it was the word for like? I can't remember what the term is called.
Yeah, there's a specific word.
It's like a Japanese like kind of leather jacket wearing.
They're like
the fucking
they're like a motorbike club, but not really. They're
there is a term.
Delinquents.
For it, I just don't know it.
Delinquents.
I mean, they're
but like they're just posers. Who just got big, and now their agency's like, you have to do a Q&A, and they're like, we don't sound like fucking
we're a bunch of fucking nerds that watch anime. We like, what if they discover that we're not actually hard, we're just fucking losers?
Yeah, but it's just like fun interactions where you're like, you're giving them advice, and you can give them shitty advice. You can give them like I fucked up one of them where I was like, oh, just say you were hanging out with your mates, and he's like, oh, cool, and then he like he's like, yeah, I was hanging out with my mates. I was like, what were you doing? And he's like, making pancakes, and like
and then there's fun. Just a dramatic zoom on the guy asking the question, like, what the fuck did you say?
Yeah, what do you mean, dude?
The comedy in these games is incredible, and the tone of these games is so specific, right? Because you get like the most insanely dramatic, serious main story quest, but the sub stories are some of the most ridiculous shit ever, and they're not scared of putting Kiryu in some of the dumbest fucking situations just for a laugh. Oh, it's so good, man. It's peak.
Yeah, I mean, the game opens with you doing karaoke at a bar with your homie.
Yeah.
And then your guy going like, you fucking practice way more. And he's like, shut up. He's like, fuck off.
Also, Yakuza 0 has Mountain Dew in it.
I learned because a friend of mine played Yakuza 0. I don't know how he managed it, but he did bad enough on the karaoke thing that there's dialogue for if you do really bad.
Oh,
really?
that rocks.
Oh, that's
like I don't know how you fuck it up. It's the easiest rhythm game of all time, Yakuza karaoke.
That's another thing. There's so many like cool little bespoke mechanics and things you can do. Like the pocket racing.
Oh my God.
I love Pocket Circuit.
Are we getting into the mini games?
We want to talk about Pocket Circuit and mini games. Yeah, I think.
Are we getting into all the mini games? Dude, that's another core thing about Yakuza. The fucking mini games. The not just the fact that there are mini games. The fact that there are mini games and they are like they're their own fucking game in a game.
And the side games. So the side games and the mini games. Each Yakuza game almost always has a like a side game and a mini game. Like a bunch of different mini games.
You are guaranteed to like one of them because there's a fucking 1,000 of them.
If you hate baseball, you might like golf. If you hate baseball and golf, fuck off. There's fishing.
Yeah, the fishing. There's shogi. Yippee! There's
I don't even like
There's koi.
Oh, there's
you can play Baccarat, and I waste so much time in the casino in those games.
I play so much fucking virtual pool in those fucking games.
Makes me so sad they removed what is it? Yakuza 4 has what are the not Plinko, what are the machines called?
Pachinko.
Oh, Pachinko. Oh my God, Pachinko is so fun.
Has Pachinko.
I was playing 4. I was just spending so much time in Pachinko. I didn't have to. I was fucking loaded, but holy shit, it's so enjoyable. Oh my God. I love gambling, dude. I'm going to be honest. I have an addiction. Somebody take my credit card away.
One of the side games, Tyler Murphy commented saying that the side games, Pocket Racing, Cabaret, always ended up taking much more of my time than expected, which is someone who loves completionist BS is always fun for me. But my question is, which weird Yakuza side game is your favorite, and which did you begrudgingly power through for the upgrades?
Cabaret Club is my favorite by far. I love managing women.
There's one in Yakuza 5. It's my favorite.
Oh, wait. I have. Wait, are we talking side game or mini game?
I'm talking side game, but I don't.
Because for me, it's side game. I'm not gonna say what it is.
Yakuza 0. I have like 120 something hours, I think, in Yakuza 0 on Steam. I guarantee you at least 10 of those are just me sitting playing CeeLo getting drunk. I fucking love CeeLo, dude.
We could. I mean, I can probably say. I'll just say the name of the character, and people will know what the side game is. So I'll just say it. It's Yakuza 5 Saejima.
It's Yakuza
That's
5
it.
Saejima.
Yeah,
me
I
too.
fucking love that side game. That's it. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
so fucking good.
But if we're talking about just Zero, it's Cabaret Club. And if we're talking about the worst one, it's Disco. I fucking hate Disco. It's so confusing. I don't know why. It just does not work with my brain.
My least favorite is Shoji because it's just fucking chess.
Oh,
I hate chess.
It's not chess. It's like chess
It's
2.
chess adjacent.
Or maybe it's chess 1. I don't know which came first.
I don't know either. I don't like Shoji.
I haven't played a lot of the side games because I was mainly going through the main story and sub stories during.
I mean, you also don't. You only unlock a lot of the.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
That was my question. Is that like something you unlock in the later chapters?
Yes. I mean, it depends.
okay.
Which don't you already have Cabaret Club? Isn't Cabaret Club
no.
when you unlock on chapter 3?
I think maybe, I don't know, but I wasted so much time with that.
I don't know if you did or not. It might have been something and I just missed it. Because the only ones I really did was Pocket Racing.
Cabaret Club is you have to engage with it to keep the thing going.
Gotcha. Because that was actually, so that's that tie-in, because I remember one of the main missions, it was like, if I walked around, it was the Odyssey main mission, where like, as Majima, if I like walked around the block, I like listened in on this conversation and had more ammo for my like negotiation. And then at the end of the quest is like, man, if I looked at some more things or like studied some more stuff, maybe I would have gotten more girls out of my negotiation. I'm like, is there a lot of stuff like that in Yakuza games where I guess your actions dictate like cutscenes in like small, it seems like not in major ways. Like it wasn't going to change the entire
Not really,
outlook
no.
of it.
I don't think in major ways. Yeah, no.
Because I noticed that with just like a few of the missions and stuff like that, and especially the side missions, you can definitely fuck those up. At least so, or not like entirely mess them up, but like change them in fun ways, I guess.
The only Yakuza game or like a Dragon video game that allows you to change things that are happening in like the story cutscenes is going to be Ishin, because it has player customization.
Gotcha.
And so you can wear a chicken hat while people are talking at you seriously.
I mean, I don't know if that's really.
It doesn't like there's no like branching narrative outside of the sub stories.
If that's what you mean, then no, that is not a thing. But if you mean like, oh, you say something weird and then they're like, what the fuck did you just say? Then yes, that happens a lot.
Yeah, that I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Because my favorite sub story was the one that I played, at least, was the cult one that you get to infiltrate and save this girl out of.
Oh, what's their saying? Shit, they move their hands.
Shuri PP.
Shuro PP. Listen here, Buster. You're gonna find out a lot about Shuro and a lot about PP over the course of 8 to 10
Oh
games.
yeah, there's a lot of dude. That Yakuza is a game for perverts. Okay.
Yeah, because he was like taking the lady to go to special Shuri PP, and then like as Majima, I'm like, do it with me instead. It was great. You're just walking around blaspheming their god, being like, I'm him. I've come.
I will continue to be him. Shiro PP.
But yeah, that one was really fun because it was just like a memory game of, do you remember all this weirdo fucking shit that this cult's doing and all the names that they have for everything? I thought that was really fun.
You also, while we were getting ready to set up, I did hear you say, "Is that guy's name Big Boner?"
Yeah. His
what was his name again? The
Mr. Libido?
Something erection.
Mr. Libido.
Mr. Libido.
Oh,
The character name for him was like Walking Erection or some shit like that.
Walking Erection, yes.
Yeah, Walking Erection, yes. It's Walking Erection, but then you learn that his
real name is Mr. Libido.
He first shows up in the Odyssey Club, just in the background. You can just stare at him doing like a weird dance by the stairs, and you're like, what the fuck's this guy's deal? And then he shows up later, and he's like, I'll show you pictures of cool ladies. Like
I have great news. If you like that character, he's in every single fucking game.
Oh, God.
He's even in Ishin.
How? Is he a time traveler? Is that like canon?
No, it's just... No, it's
Ishin's
generational horny. It's generational.
Ishin is historical
horny.
fan fiction and Yakuza fan service. Like that's what Ishin is.
Not
Yeah.
Kiryu.
Right.
Yeah, because that you're not actually playing as Kiryu. You're playing as not Kiryu, but
That's
not
awesome.
Kiryu has the same everything
Voice and
as
face
just
and-
actual Kiryu.
And you can chop wood in Ishin. Pretty cool.
It's really
can.
fun. I've spent so fucking long chopping fucking wood for this old man. Oh my god.
Level 100 Snivy asks, what's everyone's favorite Yakuza 0 side mission story-wise?
The haunted VHS tape.
Yes.
Okay, I have not got
It's
to
also
that one
mine.
yet. That sounds
Not
fun.
to
That sounds really fun.
not to make that really boring, but the haunted VHS tape's really fun.
Throughout all of the Like a Dragon games, I fucking love when things get weird, and Judgment as well. When things
Judgment
get
has
weirdly
some
supernatural in
really-
the sub stories, and you're like,
Yes, dude. Yes, there's a lot of them. I love. Oh, Nugget is
what?
good.
Nugget is really good too. Yeah.
Nugget is really good.
We do love the chicken.
Yes, we love Chinken.
Big chicken fan over here.
There's like, how many are there? Like, there's like almost like 300 fucking sub stories, aren't there? It's like ridiculous.
There's a shit ton.
Is that? I think both of them have 200. No, maybe actually between Kiryu
There are
and
100.
Majima. There's just 100.
There's only 100. It's only like I thought it was only like 100. No, is it 100 per?
I thought it was 100 per. Am I wrong?
Oh God, is it 100 per?
Dang, maybe.
It might be 200. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. That,
No,
that
it's
game is
100.
so long.
You're
There's
right,
so
it's
much stuff in
100.
that one.
it's 100. It's 100. I'm Wong.
I think
Sorry.
the combat as well really drew me in more and was a lot more funner to play than Kiwami's.
Yes, that's one.
it's-
That dude, the combat
That's the
in
big thing. You get so much choice in combat
Yes,
in
dude.
Zero. It's amazing.
it's one of the best combat systems they've done, and it's way more enjoyable than Kiwami. That's kind of that's one of the problems with like going from Zero and then moving on to the rest of the games. The combat, when you finish one of the Yakuza games and you start a new one,
Where's my tiger drop?
yeah. Where's my Komaki drop?
like,
where's my tiger drop?
Where's my everything? Where's my fucking parries, dude? You lose everything. It's really sad. That's why it's really hard to start a new fucking game. Like, the upgrades you get as Kiryu are so fucking fun to play with, and it really sucks to go back at the beginning of it and just not have all your tools in your belt.
Yeah, and like I fucking love the heat system and all
Heat
of
is
the
so
heat
good.
moves and how varied they are.
Dude, the heat actions get crazy sometimes. They're so fucking funny.
Yeah, I remember doing one which like was nuts to me. Is there was like a guy lying on the ground and I was in the oh god, I want to say bear stance, but it's not. It's like the
Beast?
one beast
Yes.
beast stance.
Yes.
And I did like a heat move on the guy that was standing up next to this guy on the ground, and like it ended up like with me throwing the guy onto the dude that was on the ground and then knocking them both out at the
Yes.
same time.
Dude,
And I was like, what?
they get crazy.
That's
This is
so
why
cool.
one of my favorite parts of any Like a Dragon game when I start is to try to go to an empty lot where there's an enemy encounter and then see what weird objects have spawned in.
Yes.
So I can grill like, oh, is that a syringe? I'm just going to fill you with mysterious liquid. Oh, what is that on the ground? A persimmon, an orange? I'm going to stuff this in your mouth and throw you around.
Yeah.
It's really fun to go to unique places and like figure out, oh, I can throw this guy's head into a microwave and then turn on the microwave.
I was about to talk about that one. That's my favorite one from the series that I've played.
Yeah, because Colin Horan asks, what's everyone's favorite heat action animation in Yakuza 0? So I assume...
God,
in
I gotta
Zero?
remember. Yeah, I gotta remember.
That's gonna be
which
really
one's in
hard.
Zero.
I mean, it's really hard to actually get. So, is it okay if I spoil one Yakuza 5 heat action? Because it's really fucking funny.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm asking 10 specifically.
Oh,
'cause,
yeah.
At one point, you go somewhere where there's a lot of snow. You do a heat action where you just drop a fucking gangster on the floor, start rolling him on the ground, and then you turn him into a fucking snowman. And then you can use the head of the snowman as a fucking weapon. It's fucking incredible.
For me in Zero, it's going to be Salt.
Salt is... I was going to say salt. Salt's really
Salt or
fucking...
Pliers is insane.
Pliers is
oh.
nuts.
Nails. Is that one in Zero?
Oh, nailed.
The one where he just like takes a handful of nails and just sticks it in the guy's mouth.
Oh, dude, that shit is... Dude, I can't believe... Dude, some of them are so...
Oh, Zero also has Essence of Force Feeding. That's one that's common, where if you buy oranges and keep them in your inventory, you can just shove oranges down somebody's mouth.
I don't think Zero has Essence of Face Scraping or whatever, where he just like gets down on the ground and rubs the guy on the concrete.
Yeah, no, dude, that's the fucking craziest one. Like, Kiryu just grabs somebody on the floor and just fucking shreds their face on the fucking ground for so long. It's disgusting.
Oh, doesn't Zero in Sotenbori, though, have the best throw them into the river action? Because when you throw them over the river in Sotenbori, they land nuts first on like the tip of a boat and then fall over.
Oh, these games are so fucking good. That's true. Give this man a true.
Yeah.
Yakuza's good, dude. Heat actions are so fucking fun.
Yeah, it's fun because for my first, I guess... Dude, do you guys remember Sleeping Dogs? Because
I was just about to mention it's
Dogs.
such a fucking shame that this game was like when 4 and 5, mostly 3 and 4 were like out in GameStop before 0 released, and then 5 was not really a physical release in the West for most stores.
It was not. It's just
such a fucking shame that people would come into GameStop and see like Yakuza 4 for like $10 on the shelf. They'd be like, "What is this, like Grand Theft Auto? Is this like Sleeping Dogs?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know."
I mean, people would. I mean, because that's the problem when these games came out. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just Grand Theft Auto," and it's like, dude, these games are not the open world game that you think they are. They are such a specific fucking flavor, man.
Yeah, it's closer to like a RPG or
very, very much like an RPG.
I don't know. It's kind of its own thing at the same time as well, because it has the side quests and main story progression and like upgrade system that you would see in an RPG, but it doesn't have the like.
I mean, also like the games get more and more like progressively more RPG as they go on, and now they're just straight up RPG.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'd see them more as that than Grand Theft Auto. But I remember when I was a kid watching X-Play, and they would talk about like, oh, this new Yakuza game just came out. This game called Yakuza, and then they were like, it's like worse Grand Theft Auto or some shit. And that
when I know what I'm talking about.
That's literally how they would talk about those games back then. And it's like, dude, that's so fucking unfair. Those games are so unique.
What would your guys's, for a theoretical person who's going to finish Yakuza 0, be for the rest of the series? Like how to approach, because like...
Just keep counting up.
Keep counting up?
What do you mean?
Just keep counting up after 0, yeah. I mean...
0, yeah, you go 0... Kiwami 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, I don't know. Just
okay, because I've heard there's games that you can skip.
You can. I don't think you should.
Yeah, I would say 3 is kind of skippable.
I was just going to talk about how I love 3.
3 is probably the most skippable. Dude, I'm going to be honest. I'd say 1 is the most skippable. I don't like Kiwami 1.
I just like having the foundation for the knowledge that you get out of 1
but the
going
thing is,
forward.
Okay, but just because we're saying skipping a game doesn't mean like don't look up like a summary or a video or an analysis on it. Like if anything, I'd say like if you're, because man, it's really like people are really gatekeepy about Yakuza and how you play those games. Play them however the fuck you want. Skip games if you're not feeling them. It's totally fine. But I do think it's worth watching a video about those games so that you're always caught up with what is going on, because it is always relevant. Everything that happens in all of those games becomes relevant in another game, and characters will come back, and like motivations from previous games are coming back. But the thing is, every game is like fucking 40 hours, 30 hours. Like,
yeah,
dude, it's really hard to recommend somebody the whole series when they're that big.
But if you play all of them, one of my favorite things in the world occurs, though. If you play all of the Yakuza games,
you become enlightened.
You get full memorization of a video game map. Kamurocho is burned into my fucking head for the rest of my life. Sotenbori is burned into my fucking head. Oh, even Okinawa and Jinsho are burned into my fucking head.
Yep. those, dude. Yakuza is because one thing that's amazing about these games is that the map is really small, but it's so fucking dense.
Well, that comes to one of my favorite points about the Yakuza games, which is that Kamurocho doesn't feel like there are some video games where the world or the map feels just like that, like
It
it's
is
a world
just
map.
the map.
Kamurocho itself, just Kamurocho. It feels like when you play these games, it begins to feel like a living, breathing character of its own, and that's
especially every single game. Because right now, Zero is in 1988, so Kamurocho is at the height of itself. Money is pouring out of everybody's asshole. Money is the entire game. Like the experience that you get in Yakuza 0 is money, because they wanted to make sure that you understood, like, this is a period of economic, like, craziness. Everybody has a stupid amount of money.
Japanese economic bubble.
The boom. Yeah. And when the bubble bursts in Kiwami onward, that's when you realize, like, Kamurocho in itself is a character, and you see it evolve and change through, like, from the 80s up to, like, where are we in Yakuza Like a Dragon 24?
Talking about the bubble just reminded me of my other favorite sub-story in Zero, but I don't want to say it because Cameron hasn't even gotten close. It's like towards the end. You know which one I'm talking about. If I'm talking about the fucking economy, just because I think it's really funny.
So actually, like, to go back to that, because, like, obviously, so Kamurocho shows up in most of the games, I assume.
All of them.
Can you?
All of them. Well,
except for 7 and 8.
No, it is in 7 for a little bit. I'm more talking about
80% of the series is in Kamurocho.
Yeah, 6.
Is it? Can you see, like, the development from, like, the 80s to...
Yes.
You can, like, so, like,
that's one of the best things about the character is when you are on the map from game to game, small little things change, but so much stays the same. And that's one of my favorite parts about the series as a whole.
And also, that's part of the plot of a lot of the games is, like, development in
real estate. How Kamurocho is changing, how the Yakuza is changing.
How the Yakuza owns things, like what the Yakuza owns, and what does that mean for the real estate? What does that mean for the community? That's, like, one of the big parts of every single game is, like, how the Yakuza has such a giant effect on normal people and where they live, and the changes that happen from game to game. Dude, these games are fucking crazy, man. They're so fucking cool. They're so rich with just lore. Like, we could literally be talking about these games for hours and hours and hours and hours, and people have, dude. A lot of people can talk for, like, I've seen, like, 12-hour fucking analyses of just Yakuza 5, you know? Like, these games are gigantic and they're so dense, but all of it is so good. It always feels very accessible, even though it's dense. Unless you're in the first 4 chapters of a new game, then it's fucking difficult. A bit difficult. It's very heavy.
They need some time to get their hooks into you.
Yeah. I think Gaiden is the closest to not having, like, too much going on, where it's like, oh my god, I don't know.
Isn't that also the shortest one?
Probably. It's like 30 hours, 35 for me.
I heard it was like 10.
I completed it in 35 hours. It's not. I mean, 10 hours. I mean, if you're boring and you do none of the sub stories, I'm sure you can get. I mean, every game you can finish in 10 hours. Aren't the Kiwami games like 15 hours if you just do the story? Like, you can do it. You're just boring as hell. You're missing out on what makes these games so important and fun. Also, I think Dead Souls is the shortest one.
Dead Souls is also a weird shooter.
I've never heard of Dead Souls.
It's a spin-off game where there's zombies.
They were like, what if we gave Kiryu a gun, but, like, actually. And then it was a third-person shooter against zombies in Kamurocho. And I think it happens, like, in between 4 and 5 or some shit, right?
I think so, yeah.
Super weird, because they reuse, like, pretty much a shit ton of assets from those games.
So where does Yakuza 0 sit in the series for you guys, like, in terms of how you feel about it.
Third favorite. Maybe fourth favorite.
Second favorite. To be fair, I also haven't played all of them.
Should we do our top 3 for the people who have played
you guys
them?
Do your top 3.
Okay. Yakuza 5, Yakuza 0, and Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Because I, again, have only up to 5. Kiwami 2, I really like. 0, and then 4, probably.
Gonna be Infinite Wealth, then Like a Dragon, then 5.
You've played the new one. I have not.
Favorite one. It's at the top right now.
I can't wait to fucking dig in, but that game is so big, I'm horrified.
It is an experience. How many hours do I have in it right now? Let me just double check.
Isn't it like 120 hours?
It's a gajillion hours.
I have 65 hours in. And I think I'm about halfway through.
Dude, oh my god. That's about how long it takes to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, from what I've heard. And that's what I've been...
And that's Final Fantasy
all
Yakuza.
I've been doing.
Oh.
Dude, that's very fucking accurate, because, dude, we need more video games with fucking mini games. Bring mini games back, but like make them good, not shit.
True.
That's actually really accurate, because in Rebirth, I'm like 30 hours in. I've played more mini games than actual Final Fantasy VII, just the game. It's so fun. I played so much Queen's Blood. Very good. Either way. Yakuza good?
Yeah, Yakuza 0 good. If it's...
Also, it's always dirt ass cheap.
Yeah.
Fucking drop a $5, man. Drop a $5, give it a good 6 hours, get to chapter 4, and I know it's a lot. It's a giant time investment for something you might not like. But if it gets its hooks into you, you will not be able to put it down until you've finished every single one of them, and you will be obsessed. Nobody I know can survive the obsession. It's so good.
I think the other day, the entire Kiryu saga was on sale for like $40.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
It was like
0 through 6.
It was like last summer sale or winter sale.
No, it was last month, my guy.
Oh, was it?
That shit goes on sale constantly.
It goes on sale all the time. It's the most bang for your buck fucking collection of all time.
I mean, yeah, I think I definitely like it's got its hooks in me now. Especially after the little chapter I just finished where things start fucking going.
Yeah.
And then it fucking takes it away from you. You're like, all right, now back to Kiryu. Yeah, I definitely want to keep going. It's so interesting. The tonal changes and the way that it can actually like walk the balance between the different tones is super cool and shows like the different aspects of these characters and the way they interact with their world. I would definitely say like for people who want to get into Yakuza 0, seems like the best place to start, and you need to give it a decent amount of your time and it will reward you.
Yep. It's finally a Friday. Yes, finally here. Friday night.
That's rad.
Also, you get to see all the memes you on the internet and point at your screen and go, oh, that's where that's from.
Rad.
That's Jonathan Bakamitai.
Yeah. Anyway, closing thoughts on Yakuza 0?
Kicks ass.
Yeah.
Play it.
I mean,
please.
kicks ass. Play it. Try it.
I love the big guy who walks around and shakes you down, and you're like, please stop shaking me down.
We didn't talk about Mr. Shakedown.
That's how dense this fucking game is. We've talked for 15 minutes and there's still more to say.
Man.
We didn't even talk about Real Estate, the worst minigame. I hate that side game.
Listen, the only good thing about Real Estate is throughout 10 of these goddamn games, there is a location called the New York Hot Dog.
Oh my God,
and the New York Hot Dog, throughout 10 video games, including Judgment and Lost Judgment, is never enterable. Not one single time, and it's always there. You can even buy it as a real estate location in the Real Estate side game, and it is never enterable. Infinite Wealth is the only game you can eat a hot dog in.
Did you go in?
No. It's a different hot dog store.
No! We're never going to get a New York hot dog in these fucking games. The worst part is that the next Yakuza is probably going to be on the fucking moon.
Moon hot dog.
That's the escalation. America, then fucking moon.
What else is there after America? Can I get a true?
Can I get a true?
Well, yeah, but they could always do Ichiban in Des Moines, Iowa. So.
Oh, what a deep cut.
Iowa? What side games would you do?
Lot of cornhole. A lot of cornhole. Ichiban is going to be a cornhole expert.
Dude,
Thanks everyone for watching this episode.
No, Ichiban needs to go to the fucking cornhole nationals. That would rock.
They do have competitive cornhole.
Oh, of course they do.
That's the next.
Do you have to get drunk?
No, but it's sponsored by meat.
By meat?
I love that.
It always has meat sponsors.
Like a pepperoni stick?
Like meat companies and pork processing companies.
Oh yeah, because that's all you got.
Hey, you got hogs. Get them dogs, get them hogs.
Ooh, get those dogs out for the hogs.
But not in Yakuza. Never in Yakuza.
Oh well, you haven't gotten to the get your dogs out section of 0 yet, so.
Man.
That does happen.
All right.
You have
Thanks
to
everyone.
There's a side game where you massage women's feet.
Thanks everyone for joining us for this episode. Be sure to hit the Patreon up.
Yeah, check out the Patreon. $5 and above, you can vote for the next game. Not for the next game, but the game after that. And you can talk if you have any thoughts or things you want to say about Kenshi or tips. God, please send us tips about Kenshi. You can send them on the post that is going to be up when this episode comes out. And you can also vote as well on the game after that, after Kenshi. Have a good day.
Bye.
Have a
Bakamitai. Oh, we did the same joke.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Press Start Turbo would not be possible without the help from our patrons, such as Alan Diver, Artavagian, Bette Davis, Bure, Bland But Funny, Boopaloo, Brain Soup, Caffeine Addicted Chemist, Cassandra Crash, Chris Chapman, Christian Van Engen, Delling City, Dog Named Bear, DX Studios, Echo Stalker, Eric Scott Gillies, Ethereal, Generic Phoenix, Guy Beam, Handsome Destiny, Lambda Man, Leo the Geotech, Mediocre Client, Mr. Shirt, Random Diamonds, Rocco the Raccoon, Smeet Mono, Spherical May, The Frost Days, Ulbert, Winnie Rab, Will9455, and Woodstock. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.